What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here live for quarterback rankings. Who doesn't love some quarterback rankings? I know. We're not even that far removed from the 2022-2023 NFL season, and I'm already doing quarterback rankings. I'm already doing tiers. You got to do something before free agency, so why not? Let's do it. Let's rank some quarterbacks. And not only am I going to rank the starting quarterbacks, because honestly, we don't really know a lot of the starters. Like, we don't know who's going to be starting in a lot of places on a lot of teams. So the strategy here tonight is going to be ranking more quarterbacks. Quarterbacks that are free agents. Quarterbacks that are backups. Quarterbacks that could be traded. Quarterbacks that are franchise guys and we know they will be starting. All quarterbacks, from the best to the worst and everywhere in between. 40 plus names here tonight. So I want to hear your opinions as well, because there's going to be a lot of tiers to choose from, and there's going to be a lot of gray area for these quarterbacks. So let me know in the comments. Also, make sure that if you are live, to vote on that poll that asks, which tier list do you want to see next? Do you want to see running backs? Do you want to see coaches? Do you want to see free agents? Those are the three options I've given you for the tier lists. Don't forget, of course, to spike the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new to the BLV for more NFL rankings just like this. This tier list is based off of the upcoming season. As a GM or a team builder, how would I select them? And how do I see each quarterback? So in the NFL, every general manager, every franchise has a list of quarterbacks in the league. Whether it's starters across the NFL, backups in the NFL, free agents in the NFL, and draft picks, okay? And they make a list of how they see all these players, because you have to self-scout your own, you have to compare it to other teams, and you have to be able to understand what a value of a player is from a contract standpoint, from a trade standpoint. So all of these teams have their own rankings. These would be mine, okay? So if I was a general manager, who would I be looking to sign to my team? Who would I be looking to have on my team long term? Who do I think are the best quarterbacks in the NFL? This is how I am going to rank these players, okay? And through this tier list, as you can see, there's many categories. So we have the elite category, which is the best of the best. These guys make the big bucks. These guys are the big, highest paid quarterbacks in the league. Franchise quarterback, this is a guy that year in, year out is consistent and or has a lot of potential to become something greater than he already is, and is a good quarterback. Good to very good player pretty much every season. Pro Bowl would be, they're like flirting with the Pro Bowl every year. Sometimes they make it, sometimes they don't. They've got the upside to make it, but there's years where they play maybe not as well. So that's the Pro Bowl level quarterback. Situational. There's a lot of quarterbacks like this in the league that they can play well if they're in the right situation. But if they're not in the right situation, a lot of people would argue they're not very good. Okay, so there's guys like that where if they're in the right situation, very good. Bad situation, not very good. Serviceable would be, they can start for you for a few games. They can play a season. They can be a bridge quarterback, but they're not ideally the solution long term. Bad starter would be, this guy is probably going to be a starter on a team, but he doesn't deserve it. He's more of a backup. Priority backup is a guy that I want on my team as my backup, but not as my starter. And then bum is self-explanatory. He pretty much sucks. Okay, so that is how these tiers are going to work. If you haven't already, spike the like button. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Let's go. Gardner Minshew is first. And guys, let me know your evaluation of each player as we go through each player. I want to see comments. Gardner Minshew is first. Minshew, I believe, is a somewhere between these three levels. I think you could argue, okay? I think high end, he might be a guy that right now is a backup, but if you put him as your starter, he could be serviceable in the right system. He's a guy that if he was probably exposed too long, you might argue he's a bad starter. I do not believe that Gardner Minshew will be a starter this year, though. I think he's going to be a backup, and I think he'll be a high priority backup for a lot of teams to sign, including the Philadelphia Eagles. But I could see a team like Miami, for example, signing Gardner Minshew to help maybe ease the situation behind Tua, right, and replace Teddy Bridgewater. So I think Gardner Minshew's arguably the best backup that you want in the league, but one of the best at the very least. And you could argue that in the right situation, like the Eagles, he would be a serviceable starter. Okay? Andy Dalton is next. Andy Dalton is interesting because I felt like, a lot of people just looked at him last year like, oh, he's Andy Dalton, he stinks, whatever, right? But actually, Andy Dalton last year was quite good in terms of just his efficiency, his, ability to fill in. Nobody really thought that he would play, right? Jameis Winston was supposed to be the guy, didn't end up being the guy. Andy Dalton came in there and actually I think was better than expectations. He didn't win a ton of games, but he wasn't bad by any means. I look at Andy Dalton as a priority backup as well, and the reason is because of his age. I think if Andy Dalton was like 5 years younger, you would argue that maybe he's like a low-end starter, serviceable player. But I think because of his age, he's somebody that you would like to have as your backup. He's played in different systems. He has plenty of experience. He's won a lot of games. He's been to the playoffs. He's played and started a ton of games. Andy Dalton's been there. He's done that. But he also can still play at a fairly high level. So I'd say he's a priority backup. Then we have Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo is interesting. I think that he is probably situational. So I put him in situational because Jimmy Garoppolo has been a very good quarterback for the 49ers. Now, I don't know how many teams he would be very good with, though, right? Like, I think the Niners are probably one of the only teams, but still, that counts, in my opinion. So, Jimmy Garoppolo's won a lot of games. He's been to a Super Bowl. He's been to the playoffs, deep in the playoffs, NFC Championship. Last year, unfortunately, he got hurt, but he played very well. So, in the right system, with the right supporting cast, Jimmy Garoppolo can be effective as a starting quarterback. He's also a pretty good leader, right? And I feel like would mesh with a lot of locker rooms, which I think is important because there's certain egos out there that I don't think quite live up to Jimmy G. Then we have Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill is another guy where I think he is that situational Pro Bowl level. I would have said last year, the year before, he was this level, Pro Bowl, but now I'm starting to think he's more situational. And maybe you could have always argued that, but I think what Ryan Tannehill still needs is he needs an offense where you run the ball first, he's a play-action quarterback, and he has one receiver that he can count on. Last year, Tennessee had a bad offensive line. Tennessee had not as good of a running game, but still a good running game. And not a great receiving core, like one of the worst receiving cores. So Tannehill had a bad receiving core, had a bad offensive line. That's why his numbers dipped. That's why people are saying the Titans should move off of him. But in reality, he was the same player. He was just in a worse situation, right? So Ryan Tannehill's athletic. Ryan Tannehill is accurate. Ryan Tannehill is a good play-action player. Ryan Tannehill can scramble. Ryan Tannehill, he's a decent player. He's been in the playoffs a few times. He led a team in a number one seed just 2 seasons ago. He's a solid player. Next, we have Russell Wilson, who might be the most difficult player to rank on this entire thing. Because, he used to be elite, and for many years in his career, he was a franchise elite guy. Now, some people may say he's a bum, Some people may say he's a bad starter. Some people may say he's serviceable. I mean, I could see somebody ranking Russell Wilson everywhere, right? What I think Russell Wilson is now is I honestly think he's situational. I think he's very much close to a Ryan Tannehill at this point in his career. And the reason I say that is because I think he needs a coach to hone him in. He needs a coach to take him by the hand and guide him to success. Like, Russell Wilson last year was terrible. But he showed progress towards the end of the year. He's going to have Sean Payton this year. I think what he is now is a guy that can still make nice electric throws down the field. But he's not as athletic as he used to be. He's not as capable to, like, avoid sacks, go on the move, like, get outside the pocket, throw lasers everywhere. Like, that's what he used to be. Now I feel like he needs a running game with him. He needs a coach that understands what type of player he is. And a coach that can hone him in and understand, okay, Russ, you're not what you used to be 5 years ago, right? This is what you can still do. Do that. Perform that, and you could still be effective. Because at times last year, Russ was still effective. I think there was a lot of heat on him because everyone was expecting him to be the elite guy, and he just wasn't anymore. And I think he's just lost a bit of that quick twitch ability that made him so special. Daniel Jones is next. Danny Dimes. He's going to be an interesting one because obviously he's going to be getting a contract. So the New York G-men have to decide whether or not they want to pay Daniel Dimes. This is tough. I mean, situationally, he was very good this year. I would say that he was also Pro Bowl caliber at other moments. But a lot of that was propped up by the system. And a lot of this, I'm going to be honest, guys, is dependent on the contract. Because I could see Daniel Jones looking like this if he gets $45 million a year. If he gets a decent contract, but he doesn't break the bank, I could see him looking like this. I think Daniel Jones is somewhere in between. Now, he led the NFL in interception percentage, which in terms of the lowest interception percentage. So he was very effective at not giving the ball away. Very good runner, very good athlete, accurate passer. But he still is kind of up and down against pressure. Can definitely get swallowed up in the pocket. Sometimes doesn't make enough big throws down the field. Certainly not last year. But he didn't have a lot of great weapons around him. But he did have a great offensive coach. So you're trying to like balance all these things and juggle all these things when it comes to Daniel Jones. Because there's so many different factors. I think he finally got a good offensive coach last year and showed what he could be. And I think he can still get better from there, but not much better. So I'm going to say Daniel Jones is mostly situational, but with the upside to be a Pro Bowl guy. So I'm going to put him in the situational category. Now, this is where we get to serviceable. Jacoby Brissett. I think Jacoby Brissett is serviceable. I think what we saw last year was Jacoby Brissett going out on a team that was fairly average from a talent standpoint. I don't think the Cleveland Browns were spectacular. Not an average receiving core. He had Amari Cooper. He had David Njoku. In the running back department, obviously elite player Nick Chubb, and Kareem Hunt's a nice player. Very good offensive line. So situationally, it was pretty solid on offense. Defense wasn't so good. They let everybody and their mom run on them. And the coaching, I mean, average. So I think Jacoby Brissett was able to go in there and win a few games and keep the Browns competitive enough. And they lost a couple close games. Like, I'm not saying Jacoby Brissett is like an amazing quarterback, but if you watch the Browns last year, before Deshaun Watson was in and after Deshaun Watson was in, I don't know if there was much difference at all. If not, I thought Jacoby was better. Jacoby has a strong arm, can throw the ball down the field. I think he's very good in that deep intermediate area of the field. He's got enough mobility to escape when he needs to. He's very good at short yardage, quarterback sneaks, and things of that nature. Doesn't turn the ball over a ton, but can have his games where he's not great. So I think Jacoby is serviceable. Then we've got Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence, I think for a lot of people, will be in these three categories, as he should. It just depends where you put him on, in between these three. I think he's very good. I don't think he's quite elite yet. I think still, mentally, he's got a ways to go in terms of ability to read defenses, make the right decisions consistently. I also think sometimes his accuracy can be a bit hit and miss. But he's athletically, up there. He's big, he's strong, he can throw the ball all over the map, all over the field. He can move enough, he can scramble enough. I would say he's a little bit underwhelming. I thought he would be better in terms of, running ability. I thought he would be as good as Daniel Jones, but I don't think he has been. That's maybe been one area where I'm a little bit surprised, but I think he's a franchise quarterback for sure. I think he's really good. I don't think he's great yet. He can be great, though, right? This is where I would evaluate him right now. I think he can get better still. I think maybe in 2 to 3 years, that might be his peak, where he's starting to really pick things up from a mental standpoint, and hopefully he can continue to tweak some of the mechanics where he got really a lot better this past season. So I'm going to put him into franchise quarterback. He's certainly one of the better guys and one of the young guys you would want to have. Tyler Huntley is next. Okay, so Tyler Huntley's not a bum. Tyler Huntley was one of my favorite backups in the NFL before 2022. This year was not the greatest year for him, despite him making the Pro Bowl somehow, some way. I guess they just ran out of names. They didn't want to ask the wave god to go to the Pro Bowl, so they asked Tyler Huntley. I'm going to put Tyler Huntley in... He's bad starter, priority backup. I could see some teams, maybe I could see Tyler Huntley getting bought into as a Marcus Mariota type, where he's a bad starter, but I'm going to go priority backup, and I'm going to put him in that category for teams that have that type of starter. So if you have a Lamar Jackson, or you have a Jalen Hurts, or you have... that type of guy, maybe you're Atlanta as well, you have Desmond Ridder, a younger guy you want to give a try, bring in Tyler Huntley, right? I think he's a guy that, with mobility, he's a very, very high-end backup, because you want to be able to maintain that ability to run and have quarterback runs and things of that nature. He's a decent passer. He can get the job done, but he's not great. He is a little bit small, right? He's not great in the drop back passing game, but nothing in Baltimore really helped him do anything. It's like Lamar, right? Lamar has no receivers. Tyler Huntley had that same situation. He's just not as good as Lamar, so it looks worse, right? So Tyler Huntley is a priority backup. Then we got Patrick Mahomes, who absolutely positively is a bum. I'm just going to put him there. He stinks. He's horrible. He'll never be as good as Tom Brady. He's not even ever going to be as good as Kevin Cobb, so I'm going to put him in the bum category. He stinks. I'm just kidding. He's going to go in the elite category because he is the best quarterback in the NFL, and you can't deny it. There's no way around it after what he did this year, leading the NFL in touchdowns and yards and winning the MVP, something that Tom Brady did last year, but they didn't hand him the award for some reason, thanks NFL. And then he went on to win the Super Bowl, which was that more impressive because nobody had done that since the 90s. So that's a big deal. Patrick Mahomes is an elite player at the top. Next, we've got Kirk Cousins, who, what's funny about Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins is what everyone thinks the example of mid is, but he's way better than that. Guys, just look up the Pro Football Reference page for Kirk Cousins and tell me he's mid. And then compare him to Jimmy Garoppolo or this version of Russell Wilson or Ryan Tannehill or Daniel Jones. Like, please explain to me how Kirk Cousins is not better than average. Like, everyone says he's average just as a meme, but he's better than average. Like, this guy had 8 comebacks last year. 8! I mean, like, what? Like, I understand he's not Mahomes, but the guy's good. Like, can we give him some props? Come on, man. Next up, we got Justin Fields, who I already discussed as a quarterback I would trade as a general manager. I would trade him. I do feel like he's an excellent athlete. Phenomenal. If you want to run a 6-back offense, he'll get the job done. But you got to have a great offensive line. You got to have a good creative run game play caller. And you have to have a great defense because you're not winning many games with a run-first attitude on offense. He's not a good passer. He might be the worst drop-back passer in the NFL because of his vision. He doesn't see anything. Okay? So, I think he's going to start this year. I don't know where he's going to start. I don't know if it's going to be Chicago. I don't know if it's going to be... If I was this team, the place that I would trade him to, if I was pulling the strings for the NFL, I really like him in Atlanta. I like him in Atlanta. I feel like a place like Atlanta where I think he's just, an OP version of Marcus Mariota. I don't think he's as accurate as Mariota is, but I think he's got a stronger arm. He can make more throws down the field. And he's a bigger dude, and he can take more punishment in the run game. He's obviously faster and more electric. I think he would work great in Atlanta, and I don't think it would cost them that much. And that would be, to me, an upgrade over Desmond Ridder, definitely. So that would be a place I'd look. But Justin Fields, I'd put as serviceable. Honestly, I think him and Jacoby fall in that same category. I like certain aspects of their game, but they're just missing something, big about it that has me holding back in terms of those players. Next, we have Jarrett Stidham. Jarrett Stidham is a free agent, so that's why I included him here. He also played pretty well last year in the couple of games we saw him play in. I think that Stidham could be a starter, honestly, in the league. I definitely think he's a good backup, for sure. Like, what I saw from him with the Raiders, I really thought he played well. Like, his pocket presence was really good. He had great composure in the pocket. I thought he showed off a bit of mobility, moving the chains. He had good accuracy and touch on the ball. He understood the offense well with McDaniels. Obviously, that helps that he had already years to learn that system. But yeah, he showed a pretty decent level. Now, I will say that he only played a couple games, so the sample size is small. So he wasn't really exposed in terms of, a lot of tape was out there for defenses to study. But the situation wasn't ideal in Las Vegas, and he played pretty well. So... yeah, I kind of see him as like an upside backup type guy. He might start, but the only place I feel like he would start is with the Raiders. So I'm going to put him in priority backup. Next, we've got Jordan Love. Jordan Love is interesting because obviously we haven't seen a lot, and I do plan on doing a video just solely based on Jordan Love, and I'm going to go back and watch all of his throws and stuff from the last couple of years and see what I can gain from that. But I was fairly high on Jordan Love coming out of the draft. I liked his skill set, his release, his arm strength, his ability to make plays on the move. I think he looked terrible in his first couple of years in the NFL, but then since then, like the last couple of seasons, I think he's improved. Last year, I thought he looked really good, like in the Eagles game, in the preseason, just in terms of the timing, the accuracy, the touch, the release. So I think he's got some upside, but it's really hard to know because we haven't seen a lot from him. So this is an answer only the Packers can really give us. But I'm going to put him in, like, he's in between here, like, serviceable, bad starter. area, and honestly, I'm going to put him into... I want to put him into serviceable because I think, like, he's a much better passer than Fields is. He's got more upside than Brissett does, but he's not as good of an athlete as Fields is. He's not as proven as Brissett is. Man, I want to give him the benefit of the doubt, so I'm going to put him into serviceable. Next, we've got Brock Purdy! BCP is what they call him. We got Brock Purdy. People are going to wonder, is he a bad starter? Absolutely not. Is he a serviceable player? Absolutely not. I think what we know right now is that Brocketh Purdy is a situational starter. I think what we saw in San Francisco is a guy that can play. A guy that can ad-lib outside the system. A guy that can escape pressure. A guy that can accurately deliver the ball on time. A guy that can put up 30 points regularly in one of the best offenses in the NFL. So I would say situational. Maybe he starts this year for the Niners and he becomes a Pro Bowl quarterback in that system, but you would still argue maybe he's still situational, right? Because if he's not in San Francisco, is he that successful anywhere else? If he doesn't have Kyle Shanahan calling plays for him, is he that successful anywhere else? Which is the whole system quarterback tag. But I do feel like when you look at his numbers and you look at Jimmy Garoppolo's numbers, pretty much the same, man. So the one thing I do worry about with Purdy that I worried about with Garoppolo is their ability to hold up, like their ability to stay healthy. Those things are concerning. Next, we've got Sam Darnold. Is Darnold going to start this year? I don't think so, right? Like, where would he start? Carolina? I doubt it. I don't think he was bad. I thought he actually played really well in that Bucs game. I thought he played better. Man, this is tough. I thought he played his best ball last year that he played in like a couple years in the NFL. But it was on the back of like a really strong running game and a good defense. Like he didn't have to do a lot. There was a couple spots where he made some plays. But he also didn't make a lot of mistakes either, which I feel like he's grown as a player that way, hopefully. I would have argued he was a bum before, but I don't know. I feel like he played better last year than I thought he would. I think he's honestly a priority backup from what he showed last year. Like I feel like what he did last year was fairly impressive. So I'm going to put him in the priority backup. Marcus Mariota is not going to be a starter this year. I just don't see it. I can't see him being a starter this year. I don't know if he's still, like, I don't know the deal with his injury, because I know he was injured at the end of that year with Atlanta. He's certainly not a bum. I'm going to put him in the priority backup, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I thought he was decent in some games in Atlanta, but he really was hid the whole time. Like, he never threw the ball, so it's really hard to say. I mean, he really never threw the ball, but he's athletic. So I guess I'll put him there. He has experience. Kyle Trask, a bum. I don't want to hear Bruce Arians go on and on about Kyle Trask. Bro, I would argue Kyle Trask is bum 3000. Like, if this guy starts for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, there will be an unreasonable amount of money on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to get the first overall pick. Like, from what I've seen from this guy in the preseason, he was so bad. Like, I can't even explain how bad he was. He looked like an XFL player out there. So I'm going to put him in the bum. Aaron Rodgers. I think Aaron Rodgers is being slept on right now. I think Aaron Rodgers, because he's an absolute goofball and he likes to hide in dark places, is being slept on. I think he's better than people think right now. I think he's still got a lot of talent. I still think his arm has a ton of zip. I think he's still accurate. I think he's still really smart. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'm going to put him in the franchise. I think you could argue elite. I'm going to put him in franchise, though, just because he didn't play elite last year. Here's my problem with Aaron Rodgers last year. He played too conservative. That's my problem. I thought he played really well from a mental standpoint, but he was just too conservative. He didn't take enough shots, throws down the field. That's what he needs to get back to. I think he could very well be elite next year, though. If he goes to the right team, I think he could be elite again because he still has all the skills that he had as an MVP. I think some things, it was kind of like 2019, Brady, like Sports Today is saying, where it was like, he was kind of like fatigued, like mentally, you could tell, like he was exhausted. I think he needs a refresher. So, Aaron Rodgers is a franchise. Lamar Jackson, franchise. The only reason I don't put him into elite is because he hasn't really proven it in the playoffs yet. He's won a game, I think, or two in the playoffs, but that's it. But he needs to prove that. Now, I will say this. Lamar Jackson is underrated by like a large portion of the NFL fandom because they think he can't throw, which is totally incorrect. Lamar Jackson's got a good release. He's accurate, especially in the middle of the field. He's got a good arm, too. The problem with Lamar is the Ravens. The system has stunk from a passing standpoint. Greg Roman was terrible from that standpoint. Like the most vanilla passing offense, drop back offense in the NFL. Todd Monken goes in there, the Georgia dude. Used to be with the Bucs. He's probably going to open up this passing game a ton. And the other biggest thing the Ravens haven't understood about Lamar Jackson is to get him middle of the field weapons. Like they need a slot receiver in there. I don't understand it because he's so good in the middle of the field. Like that should be their focus. Receiving running back, tight end, slot receiver. Mark Andrews is great, but you don't have a slot receiver. You don't have a receiving running back. If you want to get the most out of Lamar as a passer, don't even worry about number one receiver. Get him a slot receiver. That's what I would do. And then on top of that, I mean, he's arguably, if not the best rusher of the football at the position. Extremely elusive. Really can't be sacked or tackled. And still young. So that helps. Next, we have Sam Darnold again, which I'm not going to rank. I had a duplicate because I love him so much. Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson is, with Russell Wilson, the most frustrating person to rank. I thought he looked like Garbaggio last year when he played. He looked terrible. He was throwing the ball to the other team. He was inaccurate. His mechanics were off. He wasn't as athletic from my, eyes at least. Off the field, he's this category. On the field, I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to put him into situational. Because I need him to prove himself again. Because he didn't last year. He looked terrible last year. I need him to prove himself. I need to see if he can get back to that level. So that's where I'm going to put him. And honestly, I wouldn't want him as my quarterback anyways. He's making way too much money. They gave up too many assets for him. And I don't know how good of a leader he is either. So I'm putting him in situational. Next, Baker Mayfield. I mean, I kind of think like he's a priority backup or a bad starter. He's not a bum. Like I think he proved that with Los Angeles. So I'm gonna put him in priority backup. He's a top backup in the league. I don't know how many more bums we're going to get on this list, guys. We'll see. Probably three more. I don't think he's going to start, though. I mean, unless he starts for the Rams because Stafford can't play, I don't really see where else he would start, honestly. He's just super small, and, like, he can't see over the offensive line, like, half the time, and then the other half the time he's throwing the ball directly at a defensive lineman's hands because it just gets deflected every play. And he's not as athletic as he thinks he is, and he just runs into, like, pressure, runs away from pressure into more pressure. Like, or he just turns the ball over. So, Kenny Pickett last year, this is interesting. Kenny Pickett, I think, has potential, but that's not exactly where he is. Like, I think last year, at times, he was a bad starter. At other times, he was serviceable. At his best, he was situational. But I'm going to put him in serviceable for now. Like, I think he's got potential. I think he's a little bit like Jordan Love. I think both guys have yet to really prove what they are in the NFL, but they've got some physical skills. I think Kenny Pickett really showed a gamer ability that I liked. Like, every big moment he needed to come through, he seemingly came through. And that's a big thing in the NFL. Gamers at the quarterback position. He's accurate too. I think he's pretty smart. Not a super strong arm. That definitely holds him back. But definitely a gamer. So I give him that. Geno Smith. Bro, people are going to hate me. I think he's Pro Bowl quarterback. People are going to say that he's not that good. I don't know, man. Geno Smith is good. I know we have to get over, like, the hurdle of him being a backup for like 10 years and failing with the Jets and all that stuff. But the guy was good last year. I mean, his numbers are top 10 across the board. Completion percentage, passer rating, yards, touchdowns. Took a below average team to the playoffs. Actually played pretty well in the playoff game. Good, I would say very good accuracy. He's very accurate. He's got very consistent mechanics. Pretty good arm. Pretty good mobility. Definitely has a heart. Like, he's a gamer. And the players on his team love him. So, I think he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. I think he's right there with Kirk Cousins. Josh Allen is elite, no question. Don't even get on me. There's this Josh Allen hater club now. I'm not a part of that club. Okay, I think the Josh Allen hater club should go and directly check themselves in to SmackDown Hotel and then get the room next to Sean McDermott, who's still in there for having the worst game plan I've ever seen in the divisional round last year. Sean McDermott is overrated. That's the overrated one here, not Josh Allen, okay? The roster of the Bills is overrated, not Josh Allen. Get that through your thick skull. Okay. Kenny Pickett duo. Then we got Jared Goff. Jared Goff, I would have said serviceable. I would have said, situational. I think there's going to be some people who put him in this category, Pro Bowl quarterback. I do. But I'm going to put in situational because I think he's been good in places where he is allowed to be. Like, if that makes sense. So, in Detroit, what does he have? He has a very good offensive line, very good running game, very good receiving core. Like, St. Brown, he had TJ Hawkinson. Now he's going to have Jamison Williams. And a bunch of weapons everywhere, right? Very much, very good play caller in Detroit. In LA, he was very good with a running game and play action. Anytime Jared Goff gets into a drop back passing game, he's not a very good quarterback. He's not good under pressure. If you can get Jared Goff to be under pressure, out of the run game, out of play action game, he's not very good. So that's why I say he's situational. He's like Jimmy Garoppolo. He's like Ryan Tannehill, Where Kirk Cousins is better is you can put Kirk Cousins in the shotgun 40 times and he would be better than Jared Goff if you put him in the shotgun 40 times. That's the difference. That's a big difference, though, because that's the hardest version of quarterback, is playing that style of quarterback. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, man, really upped his stock for me in the Super Bowl. I know he didn't play the 85 Bears or the 2000 Ravens in the Super Bowl, but the guy maybe had his best game of his career in the biggest game of his career, and that speaks volumes. And what I think people can't measure about Jalen Hurts is his heart and his mentality. I think Jalen Hurts has like a great mentality. He's positive, but he's also willing to get better. As we've seen with Jalen Hurts, he's gotten better in every season of his career. Now, he was on like the best roster in the NFL. Like, don't get that twisted. He had Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, great running game, serviceable play calling, wasn't great play calling, and the best offensive line in football, right? He needs to improve as a drop back passer, but he did prove that in the Super Bowl. He can do it in spades. Like, he can be that guy if you need him to be. It's not consistent, but it's there. He's an excellent athlete. He's great on the move. He's a great deep passer. He's a great runner. He's super strong in short yardage. Very good leader. So I love Jalen Hurts. I think he's a great quarterback. But the question is he elite or is he franchise? That's really what it is. Is he elite or is he franchise? And personally, I think the only thing holding him back from elite is consistency, like longevity-wise. Like, I think he needs to have 1 or 2 more really awesome years, and then I can put him into elite. But franchise is the place he's going to be for now. Next, Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's definitely a divisive one. I feel like there's a lot of people that really like Kyler Murray, and I think there's some that think he's super overrated. And I probably fall into the second category a bit more than I fall into the first. I really loved the prospect, Kyler Murray. But the more we've seen him in the NFL, and the more he's become this kind of arrogant prick that's gotten paid and all he wants to do is play Call of Duty, that it literally had to go in his contract, that is where I've definitely softened on Kyler Murray. But I do think he has Pro Bowl talent. He's got a great arm. He can be accurate with the ball. He's the road runner running around. He hasn't been in a great situation, but he also hasn't been in a bad situation. Like, his coach could be better. I don't think it's going to get any better, though, with Jonathan Gannon. The weapons have been pretty good overall. The O-line has been okay. Like, I think he's a Pro Bowl talent, so I'm going to put him there, but, like, I'm not in love with that. Like, I could buy situational as well, but I think he's just got so much talent. It's really up to what Kyler Murray are we going to get on this Sunday. Like, are we going to get the Kyler Murray that cares this week or the Kyler Murray that doesn't care this week? And that's really what it comes down to for me. Guys, if you haven't already, make sure you Gronk spike the like button. Next up, we got Michael White. Mike White, I don't think he's going to be a starter. I don't know why Jared Stidham found his way up to bad starter. I don't know how that happened. Michael White, he's in the Stidham category for me. Like, I feel like he can go in there and he's got the skills to be a backup. Like, a good backup for a few games, but you don't want him playing all 17. He can move the chains. He can move the offense down the field, short passing game, get it to the right player, serviceable in that manner. But once he's exposed to long-term situation, he's just physically not there and overall just can't get it done. Wins and losses column. But priority backup. Desmond Ridder, From what I've seen so far, the man is absolutely a bum. I'm sorry, bro. I haven't seen anything from Desmond Ridder that tells me he's anything more than a bum. Now, he might be a backup. He might be a bad starter. You know, you might put him here because he's going to start on Atlanta maybe. I don't see it so far. I thought Mariota was better last year. Like, quicker release, more accurate, more decisive with the ball, just as fast. Desmond Ridder is big, I guess. Fast, I guess. He's not like an electric runner. He's going to start, but he's also a bum at the same time. So, whichever one you want to put him in, that's where you're going to put him. Like, I think he's a bum. So, Dak Prescott, Pro Bowl. I don't think he's a franchise guy, honestly. I think just like a Kirk Cousins, this is the best way you can put Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott has given enough questions about whether or not he can get it done that Dallas Cowboys fans, there's enough of them, there's a good portion of them that want to move on from him. That is why he's a Pro Bowl quarterback and not a franchise guy. Because with Trevor Lawrence, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, you don't hear any of those fan bases saying, yeah, we can do without him. We want a new guy. We want to try something different. We want a different flavor. Right? That's what Dak is. Dak's good. Dak can get you to the playoffs. Dak can win some games. Dak can put up big-time stats like Kirk Cousins. A different shade of Kirk Cousins, so to speak. But he still gives you enough questions. Is he worth the contract? Can he win a Super Bowl? He's like Kirk Cousins. That's what he is. He's good. He's not great. Next, Justin Herbert. Boy. Boy, oh boy, Justin. I'm going to put you in franchise. I think you should and could be elite. But, sir, Justin Herbert, you have all the talent in the world to be elite. But your resume, and I'm a resume guy. What does your resume say? Because after all, talent is pixie dust. Talent, that comes and goes. What's the results? What are the results? Stats, pretty good, not great. Wins, pretty good, not great. I think he's got all the tools. I think he sees the field well. I think he's got a cannon. I think he's accurate. I think he's big. He's consistently on the field and available. Seems like a pretty good leader, but maybe not great. He's, right now, pixie dust elite. People who put him in the elite are just doing it based on talent and not on resume. So that's why I put him on franchise. He's like Lawrence. Very talented, hasn't proven it yet. So that's why I put him there. Davis Mills. I think he's done being a starter, but I think he's a good backup. So I'll put him there. I mean, he has the longest neck in professional football. I think Trevor Lawrence is rivaling. You know, look at these necks, bro. Which one's longer there? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me. Okay. I got him in priority backup, though. I think he's a decent player. But he's just on the worst team in the NFL. Like, I don't really know what you can say. I mean, he might be a bum. Some of you are saying he's a bum. Okay. I mean, I could see that. Do you think he's a bum? I mean, if he was on the Eagles, would he be a bum? Maybe. Guys, give me some reason why he's a bum. Maybe I'll change my mind. Derek Carr. I think he's situational. I think he's pretty good, pretty talented. But I think at this point, Derek Carr is a quarterback that cannot carry any team anywhere. He needs to be, at this point, he needs to be a quarterback that's on a team with a really good roster and a really good defense. I don't even know if coaching matters all that much for him. Like, as long as he has a couple receivers and he has a good defense, which he's never really had, he can take you to the playoffs. So, that's what Derek Carr is. Now, Derek Carr is more talented than everyone here, other than probably Watson, in terms of accuracy, release, arm strength, all that stuff. But one of the areas Derek Carr is not great is toughness in the pocket. Get scared in the pocket. That's a big deal. Last year, big moments, did not shine. Next is Mac Jones. Now, Mac Jones, I think, is here. But unfortunately for us, we didn't really get to see what Mac Jones could be with a proper offensive coordinator in year 2. Year 3, I think he's going to be up here. I do. That's my prediction. But these aren't predictions. These are evaluations. So I'm going to put him into situational because I think through 2 years, what we've seen is good Pro Bowl quarterback with good offensive coordinator and basically good competent coaching. That's what we've seen. Year 2, crap coaching, not a good player. That's what we've seen. So we've seen situational so far. Now, we haven't seen him with good weapons. We've seen 1 year with a good offensive line, 1 year without. We've seen both years with a good defense. But again, he does have an above 500 record. So he has more wins than losses through 2 years. Right? So far situational. I think he will be Pro Bowl, though, this year. And he's definitely better than Fields. Not even close. Tua's up. Tua. Okay, so obviously I used to be a Tua hater. Now I'm mostly just a Tua hater because he ruined the NFL concussion protocol. Because now every quarterback that gets a concussion, or at least looks like they get a concussion, are basically out for forever. Like they can no longer play football. So that's why I hate Tua now. But in terms of his actual play, I'm going to put him in situational. The reason I'm put him in situational is because through a couple years in his career, he was terrible, like awful, like really bad. And and then he got the best, arguably the best receiver in the league, the best number 2 receiver in the league, a better left tackle, better offense, a good play caller, a talented defense, and he went to the playoffs, and he played really well from a statistical standpoint. But when you watch the Dolphins games, you're not like, wow, Tua is the reason the Dolphins are winning, or that Tua is making all these amazing throws. No, it's more so like Tua throws an RPO bubble screen at the line of scrimmage that goes for 15 yards, but he still executed the play, right? So I think Tua is a lot like a Jimmy G. I think he's in a great situation with great weapons and good offense, and he can be effective because of that. But if he's in a less than stellar situation, he's not going to be very good. Matthew Stafford. Now, this one's tough because I feel like if we get Matthew Stafford before he got hurt, I think Matthew Stafford is a Pro Bowl player, and I'm still willing to believe that. So, even last year, Matthew Stafford was still a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback, especially given last year's quarterback play in the NFC. Stafford had a really bad offensive line last year, and because of that got hurt again. I think if he has a decent offensive line and he has Cooper Kupp, he's a Pro Bowl quarterback. But the problem I have with him, obviously, is his reliability. I don't know, with him getting older, if he's still going to be able to do it at the same level and if he's going to be available enough. So I could see you ranking him lower, but he's still like, I mean, he's not that far removed from being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL 2 years ago and throwing the second most touchdowns in the league and having an epic playoffs. So Stafford, I'm going to put in Pro Bowl. Then we've got Pajama Walker, who I think is pretty much a bum, although like you could argue he's a priority backup. Because he didn't play bad, but I don't think he's a priority. I think he's just a bum. So I'm going to put him in a bum. Next up, we've got the divisive. For some people, the already Hall of Fame Trey Lance. If you guys look at the 49er Twitter, Trey Lance is the next coming of Jesus. Trey Lance is the next coming of Tom Brady. Trey Lance is the next Peyton Manning and Steve Young combined. Trey Lance has never thrown a pass, it feels like, but he's already the best in the NFL. But he is certifiably a bum. He's terrible. From what I've seen, he is so bad. He can't throw the ball. He's inaccurate. The Niners had to bring back Jimmy G to save them, even though they didn't want to. He's supposed to be a great athlete who can't really run that well. He's big, he's clumsy. I mean, I don't see anything about Trey Lance. I see Jamarcus Russell when I look at Trey Lance. He can't hit water if he fell out of a damn boat. That's what I see. Bust. Taylor Heineken. I don't think he's going to start. So I can't put him there. You know what I'm going to do? I might have to reorganize the bad starter and the priority backup category into what I would like put them in, like from 1 to 32, where I would place them, because I think that's the only way this makes sense. But Heineken's definitely a backup. He's not starting this year, but he's a guy you want as a backup because he's a gamer. He's won games. He's gone in there and done his thing. And he's played extensive time in the NFL and proven he can win some games and make some plays and some throws. So definitely priority backup, but like we'll see once I go through 1 through 32. Carson Wentz. Man, this is tough. You know what? Not because of talent. I think some people, in terms of talent, would put him, you know, in like serviceable, bad starter-ish. But bro, I don't want Carson Wentz on my team. Like, I think Carson Wentz is a bum. I do. I'm putting him in bum. The reason I'm putting him in bum has nothing to do with really his talent. I mean, he doesn't lack. He's just like, he's unreliable. His teams never play well for him. He's not a good leader. He's inconsistent accuracy-wise. He's terrible under pressure. He takes way too much time behind the line of scrimmage to throw the football. And he can't run. Like, why do I want him on my team? That's why he's a bum. Like, I've seen him have success. I've seen him be a good player. But I still don't want him. That's why he's a bum. Zach Wilson, you're a bummathy. The only thing Zach Wilson is good at is picking up moms. That's the only thing he's good at. Everything else, terrible under pressure, terrible decision maker. Has a awesome arm that doesn't know where the location of the ball is going. Throws the ball out of bounds when he's trying to throw it in play. Zach Wilson is a bum. B-U-M, bum. Joe Burrow. Elite. No question. No need for explanation. No, there is explanation, though, just because I'm doing this for everybody. Joseph Burrow. So, leadership, top tier. Swagger, top tier. Accuracy, the best in the NFL. He's the most accurate passer in the NFL, from my standpoint. It's him or Rodgers, but one of those two. Good arm, just savviness in the pocket, ability to manipulate the pocket, ability to escape the pocket, escape pressure, make throws on the move. Not like Mahomes, but still really good. But I think he's just like smart, sees everything. He's a lot like Peyton Manning to me, like in terms of like the way he plays. Like the offense is very static. He doesn't need a lot of motion. He can like read the defense pre-snap, read the defense post-snap, make the right decision, put it there accurately, not with the most arm strength, but with a ton of touch. And he can move a little bit. And he's also got that X-factor leadership to him where like they're just always in the game. They're just always in the game. So Joe Burrow is absolutely elite. Then we've got Sam Howell, who I almost forgot what his name was. Man, I mean, he's like Desmond Ridder, where we haven't seen a lot. I think he's better than Desmond Ridder, though. I think he's better as a passer, for sure. We haven't seen much from him. He did beat the Cowboys. I'll give him that. He's fairly athletic. He's got a pretty good arm. But we'll see. I mean, he might start for Washington. I don't know. This is tough. I guess like based on this list, you would put him in bad starter because he's probably going to start. But I might have to reorganize this. Mitch Trubisky, I guess I'll rank him. I'd put him in backup, like good backup, athletic, on a good team. If he was on the Bills, right? I would like him as my backup. Steelers as my starter? No, not so much. Jameis Winston. Do you want Jameis Winston as a backup? I got to make sure I rank 32 people here in the starter category. I would say he's here by now. Honestly, but so let's just see. We got 3. We got 5, so that's 8. We got 5 more, so that's 13. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So we need 3 more in these categories here. So I'd put Minshew in serviceable. If I'm taking him out of the backup category and trying to place him into a new category, I think I'd put him in serviceable. Andy Dalton. Do I want him in bad starter? So that's 1. No, let's reconfigure this. So I think Huntley's kind of proven that he's not going to be anything. Oh, this is tough. Yeah, maybe Winston here. But Dalton I felt like was better than Winston, honestly. Damn, this is tough. Let's just put both these guys there. So, do I need one more? I think that's good, right? I don't know. Let's go with that. I don't really think that anyone deserves to be any higher. I mean, maybe Mike White, maybe Tyler Huntley, maybe Jared Stidham. That's kind of where I'm at. Yeah, that looks good to me. All right. So, those are my quarterback tiers, guys, in the elite category. The best of the best. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. You know what? Let's order these. Let's order these as best as I can. Okay, so in elite, Mahomes. I'm going to put Burrow over Allen right now. I am. Is Matt Ryan not retired yet, Sports Today? I feel like he's going to retire, so that's why I didn't rank him. Then after that, I'm going to put Herbert. Hurts, Rodgers. Rodgers. Rodgers, Hurts. This is tough. Lawrence. Lamar, Lawrence. That's going to be my order. Pro Bowl. That's my order. I don't know. Stafford's so hard, man. Because I don't know if he's playing or not, man. Like, I don't know what he's... Like, if he's injured, if he's... So, yeah, I'm going to put Stafford last just because of that. Where would I rank Tom Brady? At least in the Pro Bowl category. Maybe even the franchise category. Situational. Ooh, this is tough. Situational is really hard. Because they're like all the same. Goff had the best year, so I'll put him there. I like Tannehill. I like DJ. Deshaun's got a lot of talent, so I'll put him there. I'm going to put Mac next. Then I'm going to put Tua, maybe. Sure. Tannehill. No, you know what? Tannehill over Tua. Something like this. I don't know. Serviceable. Pickett has the most potential for me. Fields. Brissett. No. Love. Love over Fields. Maybe. No. Fields is played, so I'll put him there. Love. Brissett. Minshew. Then whatever for the rest. So that's kind of how I would roughly rank it without really thinking about it that much. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button and subscribe for more NFL tier lists just like this. And before I go, allow me to take a look at what you guys voted for the next tier list. Isaac, based off last year, I would agree. Kind of mixing in like what I would do moving forward. Coaches, running backs, free agents. So coaches have 47% of the 73 votes. Thank you to everyone who voted, by the way. So coaches is going to be next, and then I'll take a new poll next time, I guess. But free agents would be next up. So that's interesting. All right, so coaches will be next, which is perfect because I think coach is a good one to follow up quarterback. All right, guys, thanks for watching, man. It's Mitch. Thanks for watching all my videos. We're really focusing on some cool research-based debate topics moving forward. I've got some real good videos planned, so look forward to that stuff. It's Mitch. Peace.